Good evening, America. Here we are. It is Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is Real Money Coach time. This is our live show, and we are pumped up and excited. Now, what I need you to do, though, I need you to put in the chat box where you are watching from. And not only that, y'all, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, whatever you are on, please share this on your page and let everybody know that the Real Money Coach is on the air, live, Facebook, YouTube, and all of that good stuff. Come on and let me know who's watching, where you're watching from. Y'all got to be lively in the chat box tonight. Y'all gotta carry the show from the chat box. I'm looking for somebody. I haven't gotten one yet. Come on, where you at? Let me know where you're watching from. Where's my steady here every week, people? I know y'all out there watching, y'all coming on in. Listen, I'm still so excited, y'all, from last week, the book launch. I'm so excited, and not just because it was this launch. There's Alice Martin. Good to have you here, Alice. I got great news for you. I got something that you're going to be excited about. I'm going to announce tonight. So listen, it's not just because of the book launch, and it's not even because it was my birthday, but just all of the nuggets that came from everyone that was involved. I'm talking George Fraser, Megan and Reagan, Lynch, Alistair, obvious Dr. Boyce Watkins, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, Jerome J.D. Davis from the Black Couples Getaway. Everybody, it was just so rich, and I can't wait. You guys, you can watch it all on the YouTube page. It is there, the complete 2 hours and 25 minutes, and it went by fast. But the other thing I want you to know is that we're working on it right now. We're working on a condensed 30-minute version of the book launch. And like I said, my godson is working on that. I don't know how he's going to cut it down to 30 minutes. I couldn't do it. I don't know who I would cut out. I don't know what part I would cut out. But listen, he's going to cut it down to 30 minutes so that y'all can, be able to share with people who may not want to sit the 2 hours. But once you see the 30 minutes, you might want to go back and get the whole dose because it was exciting. Robin, thank you for being here from Concord, Michigan. We got Kimberly from Charlotte is in the house. Y'all coming on in. We got an exciting show for you tonight. It is going to be awesome. Now, this gentleman that we have on the show tonight, Mr. Aj Joyner, a lot of you saw him at the book launch. He shared about the software that he has that can help you write your book. And we're going to learn more about that tonight. But before we do that, we are going to bring on to the stage my good friend, my wife's best friend, Mrs. Michelle Mitchell.
Good evening, Michelle. Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Do I need to get some weights to bring you back down?
Well, actually, my wife got me a set of dumbbells for my birthday.
Okay.
So they should be weighing down my chair.
Right.
I'm still pretty excited, Michelle. Thank you so much for being a co-host, and man, you and Marlon did a wonderful job. And man, I was asking the team last night when we had a meeting. It's like, what? Who said what? What was that one nugget that you walked away from? So I'm going to ask you guys that are watching, put in the chat box if there was a person, if there was something that was said, if there was something that was like, wow, this was worth the price of admission, which was free. It's worth the price of admission. Put that in the chat box. And Michelle, I'm going to ask you the same question. What was there a particular person or a particular thing that was said that actually just was like, man, that was kind of unbelievable?
The whole thing was really great. It was really, really great. But I would say Dr. Boyce Watkins, when he said poise,
that was mine too.
acronym.
That was mine too.
Yeah.
That voice, I was like, oh, that's
Mhm.
that's butter right now. You
Right.
remember what the voice was?
I don't remember all of it,
All
but
right, I got you.
okay.
The P is for a producer.
Producer,
You
right.
need to be a producer, right?
Mhm.
So it need
Mhm.
to be a producer. So the P was producer, and the O was owner.
Owner. Owner. Yeah. Mhm.
Alice Martin agrees with us, by the way.
Right.
Thank you, Alice. The O was for owner,
Yeah.
and then the I was for
Investor.
investor,
Yep.
and the S was for saver,
Saver. Okay.
and then the E was for entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur. Yeah.
So we got to have poise.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I think Dr. Boyce Watkins said this, is that if you can manage to do, I think he said 2 or 3 of those things, right?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Then you got it made. And
Yeah.
I was on a meeting with one of my agents, and he said, "Man, just remember how they said we were 3/5 of a person?
Mm.
Man, if we get 3 of those things together,
Right.
because we got to start producing and not being consumers,
Yep.
right? We
Mhm.
need to own
Yep.
and not be the borrower or the
Right.
renter.
Mhm.
We need to invest
Mhm.
instead of spending everything we have. Same thing with saving. And obviously, we're big into entrepreneurship. We think that's an important piece of just generational wealth,
Right.
being able
Yep.
to pass wealth from one generation to the next.
Yep.
So yeah, I like poise too. Anybody else have
Yeah.
anything? Put it in the chat box. What did my boy say? What did Mr. Mitchell say?
Oh, Tony Mitchell.
Yeah.
He enjoyed the book launch last week. Like he didn't tell me like specifically what it was, but he watched us last week. He was like, "Wow, that was good."
Yeah, he texted me a couple
Yeah.
times this week.
Yeah.
And so we got Kim Smith from Tampa, Florida. Now Kim has a wonderful organization that I sit on the board on, and it's called Our Legacy Foundation. And
Mm.
the purpose of Our Legacy Foundation is to actually document legacies of our people,
Oh.
whether it be your family,
Mhm.
or whether it be your business or what have you. And here's the interesting thing, Michelle. As you know, we were in Michigan last weekend.
Mhm.
Amazing story. I thought this story was absolutely amazing. So we flew to Michigan because Lisa's uncle passed and everything, and so we flew there, and we're at the funeral. And you know how people get up and make remarks and that type of
Right.
thing. Well, this is a gentleman, a Caucasian gentleman, old gentleman, came and he came up and made remarks. And he said that he and Charles, Uncle Honey's real name's Charles, but we know him as
Mhm.
Uncle, that they had been friends for 80 years.
Wow.
Now, check this out. He said that 80 years ago, they walked to school together. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
remarkable, first of all, right? 80
Yeah.
years ago, you have this little African American boy and this Caucasian boy walking to school
Walking.
together.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing all by itself, right?
Mhm.
And then he said later on, Charles' sister joined them. But then he said that his dad started a construction business. And it's a well known construction business in Jackson,
Mhm.
Michigan. And he said, and we bought gravel from Charles's dad.
Mm.
And so here you have 80 years ago,
Mhm.
you have a Caucasian guy and a black guy. These guys are 80 years old now, right? 86 years
Right.
old. But
Mhm.
their fathers were doing business together
Together.
at
Wow.
that time. And that also tells me this, that Lisa's grandfather was an
Mhm.
entrepreneur.
Exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. We need to document that.
Yeah.
We need something like an app that I could take and I could talk into this app and it record all of that so that
Exactly.
people would know about this story. And maybe
Uh-huh.
it could turn into a book.
Right.
I don't know where I got that idea from.
I don't know.
We'll hear a little bit about it later. And so those are the types of things with our Legacy Foundation, as it's a new organization, but we're putting together. That's the kind of the purpose, the vision. And so anyway, I'm glad that Kim Smith is with us tonight and kind of
Nice.
seeing
Welcome,
what we
Kim.
have. So give the gift of legacy. Love that.
Yeah.
Love it. So I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I do want to make a couple quick announcements. One announcement is my iHeartRadio show this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. There it is right there. We will show part 2 of an interview that I had with Les Brown. So if you missed it last week, Les really dropped some nuggets, talked about when he was found out about his biological parents, and his grandmother was a motivational speaker biologically.
Wow.
And he shared that. It was the first time that he said he'd ever shared that story publicly, because it happened recently. But he said, so being a motivational speaker was obviously in my blood. And so I actually even posted a little bit of that on Willie Moore Jr.'s page, Missing Pieces, because that's his deal. But so anyway, Les Brown, we will show or air part 2 of that interview this Friday. And then the other announcement that I want to have, some of you may have remembered Alistair Edwards that was on the show. You remember Alistair?
Yes, I do.
What did you think of Alistair's?
I thought Alistair's his little talk really connected, like why you need to do these things in your life to connect your finances and then protecting them. And then his story about, how he was healthy one day and then the next day he was having this medical event, right?
Right.
And, they're asking him, do you have a power of attorney, a living will, like all of these things. And of course he does, but some people don't. They have holes in their plans, and he was making them aware of that and how you can get that information from your book because you talk about it.
That is true.
Yes.
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
But yes, you're right. It is in chapter 6, by the way.
Yes.
So when you get your books, by the way, there was one batch of books that went out today. There was a batch of books that went out today, and we got another 3 batches that will go out this week. But one batch went out today.
You got an assembly line at the house.
Yeah. We got Cam, we got everybody.
Oh, that's awesome.
Envelopes and doing that. So, and one thing I did not mention is that also with those books, we have a little commemorative bookmark that also is going to be inside those books as well.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to have that. That's going to be inside the book when it comes. And make sure, y'all, when you get your book, take a picture with the book, post it on social media, tag me, tag the Real Money Coach. Let us know. That way I know you got your book. That's how you can let me know you got your book.
Yeah.
You can text me or call me if you want, but it's just better just to take a picture with the book, post it on social media.
Y'all help his Instagram.
Huh?
I said y'all help his Instagram.
Yeah, my Instagram, Michelle, it's kind of weak. Robert, I really don't know which books went out, but if yours weren't in the batch that went out today, it will be in the next batch. I'm sure it will, but you were early on in terms of ordering the book. So, but my announcement when it comes to Alistair is the fact that he is going to be hosting a wills and trust workshop.
Oh, nice.
So he's going to be hosting that, and that's going to actually take place at 7 p.m. Eastern time on next Wednesday. So that's Wednesday, March 9th. And we're going to put the registration here in the chat so that anyone who would like to register, it's free. And actually, it's going to be a little bit more than simply just a will. Everyone who register will get the will questionnaire. So there's a will questionnaire that will go out, and he's going to walk through that questionnaire line by line. So
Oh,
when you get done with this Zoom meeting on the 9th, you'll actually have a document that you can either do one or two things with. Well, I guess there's three things. One is you could do nothing, which, you know,
right.
that's
We're
probably
not
not.
about that.
Number two is if you have a Legal Shield membership, you could simply send that in and get your will prepared. Or number three, you could take that to an attorney of your choice, and you've now got a head start at getting your will and your trust all prepared.
Right.
So again, even if Dante, my man Dante, could put it in the chat so that people can click on it and be able to register. Matter of fact, I will make sure that I post that link on our Facebook page and inside the Real Money Coach Facebook community. So I think that's a really good workshop. And then Alistair is actually going to come back on the show. He's going to be on the 15th. So our next shows is a lady called Hope Writes. Hope helps us business owners write things, right? Like emails and posts and all that kind of stuff. And so that's her business. So she's going to come and share with us. And then the following week, Alistair is going to be back with us and sharing a little bit more of his testimony. So that's what we got lined up.
That's awesome.
Goldman Sachs, give us a quick update before we bring our guest on.
Goldman Sachs. It's just a whole nother level. Like, I'm swimming in it right now.
Swimming in it?
Yeah.
A lot of work, huh?
It is a lot of work, but I think the work is for me. Mm-hmm. So if I don't put the effort in, I won't get anything out of it, really, because it's all for me. I could half do it, just to get assignments done, but who does that help?
If you half do it, you get half results, right?
Exactly. So I'm going in.
Well, we're proud of you. We, remember me when. Remember, I want you just when you get it, I want you to remember the little freshman that you saw on campus carrying a briefcase with a little tail in the back. Just remember me, okay? Just remember. I know you're gonna remember the lady in my house. Right. I know you're gonna remember that. But remember your boy too, all right?
I remember you. I remember you. Well, but awesome. Like right now, we're getting ready to hire somebody, y'all. So if you know any accountants out there who need a job or want to work virtually, send them my way. I'll have a link by next week, but we're about to hire.
We'll post the link. Yeah. And if you have an accounting background, you like debits and credits, or you know somebody, then send them on Michelle. Let's make this thing work. Let's hire. Right?
That's right.
Let's become our number one employer. Because you know what? Asians are the number one employer
of Asians. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, Hispanic, number one employer of Hispanics. We got to catch up.
We do have to catch up. It is my desire for me to find someone, in our community. So, but I can't say that on my job posting.
Well, listen, we want the best talent.
Yes, we want the best
talent. Mm-hmm. And I think the difference is when we're in a position of hiring, we can hire the best talent, even if the talent looks like us. Sometimes we know that this has happened, that we may have been representative of the best talent sitting at the table, but we don't get hired because we don't look like the person who's hiring.
Right.
Okay. So
exactly,
we want to hire the best talent, and and don't look for a hookup. There's
no hookup.
You got to come with the correct credentials.
Yes.
And then you can get hired.
That's correct.
Can I apply? How much you paying? I mean, I need to know.
I think I'm paying a pretty good salary.
Check it out. Well, listen, we had a chance to chat. I'm ready to bring on our guest tonight. Let me tell you something about this gentleman. His name is Anthony Aj Joyner, and he and I over the last 10 months have become buddies and friends. And you know, it's just like we would get together and we'd be talking about engineering, the book and the structure, and we'd be hours talking on the phone. And on Zoom, it's like, oh man, I got an appointment, dude. I gotta go. But we had a great time. Um, and I have to, like I did at the book launch, give my wife credit for finding AJ. Right.
Wow.
And she reminds me of that. Believe me. She said, how'd you find him? I was like, you're the one. Um, but she found him and we researched him, and it just, I mean, it was just one of those God things, in my opinion, that I was hooked up with Mr. Aj Joyner, who is just, in my opinion, extraordinary, talented guy. He's got a wealth of knowledge. And so, without any further ado, let's bring Mr. AJ onto the stage with us. There he is.
Welcome, AJ.
Hello, hello, hello. And let me just say this. There is no way in the world, Tony, that anyone can forget someone with a briefcase and a tail walking around campus.
Hey, wait, this was in 1986, man.
This was in the 80s.
1986, bro.
She saw the ambition in your eyes.
I was like, who is this dude walking around campus with a briefcase?
He was ready, you know what I'm saying? He preparing for where you're going, right?
He was.
Preparing for where I was going, man.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, but yeah. I was ready for business, man. I was ready. Let's go. Let's go. So, AJ, I'm so glad that you were able to be on the show. I know you were traveling last week when we had the book launch, but you were able to step out of the meeting and share with us. I know you got a beautiful wife and little daughter, family man. So I love that. So tell the audience a little bit about AJ, who AJ is, where you're from. I think you're from a big metropolitan area in Louisiana.
I'll tell you in a minute.
So go ahead and tell everybody about you.
Hey, everybody. So, Tony, first of all, thank you for doing this and thank you for having me. And thank you as well, Michelle. My name is Anthony Joyner. Everybody calls me AJ, and I am from a really small town in Leesville, Louisiana. So it's one of those towns where you got, as a child, we would get a whooping from our neighbors, from people in church. So if you got out of line, you got corrected very quickly, especially being raised, you know, primarily by my grandmother. So, you know, it was old school, right? But it was a community where it was truly a community and everybody loved you and everybody wanted you to be successful. And you sort of had that village feeling where people just cheered you on. And whatever success you had, it was success of the community. So that's kind of where I'm from. So Southern University was my next move after leaving Leesville. Of course, enjoyed my time at Southern University. After leaving Southern, I moved out to Atlanta. And I started, this is in the mid 90s. So it was prior to the Olympics. And I worked in IT. So I spent close to 2 decades in IT, building software, managing software teams. I went into the digital marketing world, but I also went into radio. So this will reference the Willie Moore Jr. show. I've been on the Willie Moore Jr. show, which is the #1 faith-based radio show in America for the 3 to 7 time slot. I've been on there 4 years. We're transitioning from Monday to Tuesday now, but I will be, you know, back on Tuesdays, and I'm on a few other stations as a result of that. And I also air a few times at nights here in Atlanta, Georgia. During prior to the pandemic, I started helping people write and publish books, which led to a lot of amazing relationships, like we talked about, or like you talked about earlier, Tony. I met Tony, along with several other authors, and we've helped over the last 4.5 years, over 200 people write and publish books. So the pandemic happened, which was a shift for everyone, right? So for me, it shifted me from doing in-person book writing workshops to launching my own publishing company, and I hated it from day one. Because when you're managing authors and managing the book writing process, it's a very disjointed process. So you got a communication between the author and their peers. So every author, and Tony can agree with this, there are people in your life that you want to share your book with along the way. And those people, they give you feedback, right? And then there are people that you have to engage with. You have to find editors, you have to find book cover designers, you have to find, other people that help your book come to life. And working with all the different authors, and I hated the disjointed process. I decided to sort of reflect on my software development skills, and I asked myself, why isn't there a platform that authors can log into and sort of not only write their book, but speak your book, right? So if I know my stories, everybody has a story to tell. 8 out of 10 adult Americans right now want to write and publish a book, right? Everyone knows the story they want to tell, but writer's block is real. Staring at that blank page with the cursor blinking, it's a real thing. So I thought, what if authors could just speak their books instead of writing it? What if you could just talk and tell your story? And then the software could real time transcribe your story into the chapters. So instead of writing it, you just speak it. And instead of emailing your manuscript back and forth to all these different people, what if you could just share access to it and they could log in and leave their feedback real time via comments? So that eliminates text messaging.
Let me interrupt y'all for a second.
Yeah.
The real story is we was on Zoom and AJ saw me typing. And he's like, maybe we need to come up with something else because we got to do typing. We ain't gonna get it. Can you just talk?
Right? Can we transcribe this conversation?
Yeah, can we transcribe this? With your typing skills, boy, that ain't getting it. Right?
Oh my
I'm sorry, yeah,
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, but that's one of the things, right? So I'll give you an example. So there is Captain William Pinkney, a 78-year-old gentleman. He's the first Black man to sail around the world. I was in Puerto Rico in December. We met Mr. Pinkney, and he shared his story in front of the conference. It was a writers' conference. And, when I demoed the software, he at 78 logged in and started working on his book using the software. And I got an email from him about 2 weeks ago saying, AJ, this is the best thing that's happened to me because I hate typing. This is really easy because the technology can be overwhelming. You have a great product on your hand and I'm loving it. And here's the other thing I want to say before we get into his story more. I never actually showed him how to actually use the tool. I did a demo, which probably took maybe 10 minutes. And just with that demo, he was able to go in and start using the software without any onboarding and any explanation. Because when I built the software, I thought, how can we make it as intuitive as possible and as user-friendly as possible so that if you don't have a high understanding of technology, it's so simple that anyone can go in and get started. So that's just a testament to how our thinking was when we built it. So to Tony's point, if you don't love typing and you think you would do better just talking and saying your story out loud, our software will real time voice to text, do a translation at about 90% right now as it sits. Now you can have your background music and your James Brown playing in the background or whoever you want to listen to. But if you're in a room and it's quiet, our software will help you get that book out of your head and into the software so that you can continue down the path of publishing. So that's sort of a backdrop of who I am, where I'm from, and how we got here today. Tony, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, man. So I think that's awesome. When I was thinking about that, as you were talking about it, I was even thinking about my grandson, book, like this dude can read, right? I mean, he can read, but before he could read, he figured out I can use voice to text on, and I can send a text message to whoever I want. And so the technology is there. And what's so impressive to me about when I use it is how accurate it was. And it wasn't fully developed. I mean, it was really kind of still in the beta test. And we just played around with it a little bit. We didn't use it, but the process, right? The process that you went through when we had our meetings and we were structuring each chapter. Talk a little bit about that process of writing, your process.
That, Tony, I'm glad you asked that because that's the most important part, right? So when we're writing a book, specifically, so let's use your book, for example. You have all this industry knowledge from working, in the financial industry for all these years, right? So that there are certain things that people need to learn about the industry. The things that they know and the things that they might not know. right? So we started with Tony, like, what are the 10 to 12 things that you would want to teach someone about if they couldn't have access to you directly? So Tony provided a list. Okay, AJ, so here are the 12 things, and I have your book here with me, actually. But Tony said, okay, AJ, here are the 12 things that I think are the most important things, or the 8 things I think we started with. And then I said, okay, well, if you had to think of some bonus things that you would just give them as, extra. So he gave me 2 more bonus things. Then the next part of the process is, what are the stories that you have from your years and years of experience in helping people financially that are relevant to each one of the topics that you want to teach them? So first, what are the topics that you want to teach? Second, what are the stories that are relevant to that particular topic? The third part, who are the people in those stories, right? So if you follow what I'm saying, it's a very systematic framework that we follow. And once you understand that story, it's what are the topics, what are the stories, and then the story format is star, story, solution. So who's the star of the particular story that you're going to tell? What is the story about this person that makes them relevant to, to what you're talking about? And what was the result that they had as a result of working with you? And if you read Tony's book, you'll notice that chapter by chapter, topic by topic, that's the exact framework. Once you have that, then what are the takeaways? What are the lessons, Tony, that you want them to learn? Or even Kim, when you're saying give the gift of legacy. So if I talk to my grandmother, right? And I've transcribed a lot of my grandmother's conversations because she talks about, being a sharecropper when she was a teenager. And she has all these rich stories that if I don't document those stories get lost, especially in our families, right? We have all this rich legacy. And my granddaughter, when I have a granddaughter, would never know the stories of my grandmother if I didn't take the time to document this. So I wanted to give again, when Kim talks about giving the gift of legacy, that's what we do with this software. We allow you to give the gift of legacy. That legacy could be your family. That legacy could be your knowledge. That legacy could be your experiences that you've lived through. That legacy could literally be just documenting different things in your life that you want to pass down to future generations. So that's sort of the approach. It's at a high level. What are the things you want to talk about? What are the stories associated with that thing? Who are the people? That star story solution. And what are the takeaways? And you rinse and repeat that process. And you will have a book in no time, and using the software makes it easier. So I'm going to do a demo here in a moment. But before I do that, Tony, well, first of all, if anyone has questions, type them in the chat. I'm excited to talk about it. But Tony, did you want to jump in?
Chat box. And one of the things too, I just wanted to say is like, working with you, AJ, it's like, so it wasn't so much. So AJ was like, who's the person? I was like, the person is so and so. Well, what was she wearing? What was her hair like? Was the sun shining that day? Was it raining? Give us a picture of exactly. And what that did, it just brought all the details, even if those details didn't make it to print, it brought out all the details of that situation. And then
absolutely.
And so I was like, oh, he's gonna ask me what she was wearing. I don't.
Yep.
Okay, she was wearing. I mean, how old was she?
Right.
I mean,
how old were you?
40, but she might have been 60. I mean, but
right.
You had to ask her her birthday.
Yeah, I do. Eventually, I get in trouble. It's like, you gotta ask me about when I take a life application. Like, you gotta ask me my birthday and my weight. No.
Right. So this is something you guys can write down. I created a framework. It's called SWEET. Okay. The S is for situation. So what is the situation that the characters in the story find themselves in? Are they frustrated? Did they just wake up and they're in the middle of all this turmoil? Did they get a call out of the blue and they were shocked? And one of the stories that you shared was about someone that had a car accident. Tony, I remember one of the stories specifically.
Timmy.
Someone had a car accident, right?
Yeah.
So you can start the story with Timmy picked up the phone and was completely blown away by what he heard on the other line. That sets the scene for what the story you're about to tell. So situation, it's called SWEET, SWEEP. The next one is world. What's happening in the character's world? Is it turmoil in the world because, Donald Trump has said something, crazy? Is there a war going on between, Ukraine? Was it during 9/11?
Right.
Because all these things impact the story indirectly, right? And a lot of times, if you can transport your reader into a place, so if you could say it was 3 weeks after 9/11 and you lived through 9/11, now all of a sudden you feel how you felt back then, so you can see yourself in that particular character, right? So first, what is the situation? Second, what is the world? Third, what is the environment, right? So is the person standing outside and it looks like it's going to rain? Because that will inform you of maybe a mood or how they're going to dress, right? Are they standing inside of a building and there's traffic buzzing by outside and they're downtown of a metropolitan city? So again, that's what is the environment?
Winter time in Michigan,
Right.
Correct.
or it's hot Florida sun. I mean, all of that has an impact on the story. And
Absolutely.
And what I like about the approach, I never would have thought of that approach, is that those stories actually teach what the technical part is going to come after you read the story.
Absolutely.
And so you were talking about accident. I think I had another accident in mind when you were saying that, because there's a couple in the book, but that story actually draws you in and teaches the lesson. Now let's go back and fill in the details of what that's like.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's why I created a framework, so that if you could think at the high level and you understand the SWEET framework, you could create your own questions. Right. So again, what is the situation? What's going on in the world? What's happening in the environment? The next one is, what are the emotions of the characters involved? Are they frustrated? Are they fearful? Are they cracking their knuckles because they're a little bit nervous? Are they looking up and to the left because they're deep in thought? What are the things that your characters feel? So it's the situation, what's going on in the world, what's happening in the environment, what are the emotions your character feel, and last but not least, what are the physical attributes, right? Are they 6'2", with broad shoulders and muscular? Is it a elderly lady who walks slowly because she's seen a lot in life, right? So what are the physical characteristics of the people in the story? And I think if you can go through each chapter and tell the stories and answer questions surrounding all 5 of those properties, you can build out a great story with little or no training.
And it was so powerful because I tell some stories anyway. I got that from my daddy, right? So my daddy liked to tell, and then I became a preacher, so I really started telling stories. But so example of that is when I talked about the stereo, in chapter 1, we talked about the stereo where I stepped on campus. Of course, Michelle's familiar with campus. We all went to Western together. And I went to the student union. I got a credit card and ran down to Sears and Roebuck, right? And got me a stereo out of Sears, out there on Portage Road,
right?
Michigan. I got me a stereo, 300-watt stereo. You could take the covers off and see the subwoofers. And I'm in this little dorm room in Hokie Hall, probably no bigger than my office right here. And I got 300 watts popping, right? And so I got the stereo, y'all. And then in the book, I tell about 5 years later. It's May 6th, and it's our anniversary, Lisa and I's anniversary of going together. And she's studying for the CPA exam, and so I know she needs to study. I said, no, but it's our anniversary. We got to go to dinner. I mean, you gonna diss me like this? I mean, I put a little pressure on it. I put a little pressure there. And so we go to Red Lobster, which is probably the only place to eat it in that little Jackson, right? We go to Red Lobster, Applebee's then, right? So we go to Red Lobster, we have dinner, and I lived in Granada Apartments, which was and so we go by and we go to my thing, and I had the stereo switched up to the switch. And so when she turned on the switch, the light came on, and Van Dross came on singing "Here and Now." Here and now. And so here's where I'm gonna improvise. And so with my muscular self, I reached around. I'm embellishing, and I give her a card, and the card says, "Congratulations on your engagement." That's what the card said, right? So congratulations on your engagement. And she opens the card, and I said, will you marry me? And at that time, I give her the ring. Stereo playing, and guess what? I still got the payment on the stereo that I bought 5 years ago.
Right.
I bought it on that Sears credit card, making minimum payments.
Exactly.
And so that was the story that we start off when we want to talk about the importance of eliminating debt.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
So that's kind of how that went. Now, I've been telling that story for years.
Yes.
I tell it in my way, though, right? So whatever version you get from Lisa, my version is the correct version.
Your version is the correct version.
Well, listen, I know we're having a great time chatting. Thank you, Lisa, so much for putting the comments in there. She does the sweet method apply to a self-help type book, or only for a novel or autobiography type book?
It absolutely does. So when you're doing a self-help type book, you follow the same framework. And here's what I mean. Typically in a self-help book, there's something that you want the reader to understand, right? And it could be, I don't know, you need to say your affirmations every morning, right? That could be one of the tenets that you're teaching in self-help. Well, you can then give a story on how saying your affirmation every morning has impacted your life in a positive way. So instead of just saying what I just said, you could actually say, I wake up every morning, my alarm shakes me to being woke. I hit the alarm, I sit up and put my feet on the side of the hardwood floor. It's a little bit cold, so I very quickly get up and blah, blah, blah. And I get to the mirror and I look in the mirror and I say my affirmation. And the energy that I feel from saying my affirmation starts me off on the right foot. And again, I'm improvising here, but that's a way that you can use that same framework to tell a story if you're doing a self-help book. So yes, it does work for novels, but it also works for self-help. It works for instructional how-tos. Anytime there's a story, the sweep methodology will help you tell that story better. Well, so thank you for your question.
If it works for a retirement book,
right,
and life, it certainly will work. And and I know that there's a lot of people out there with great stories to tell. And just like you mentioned, family members and recording. And, my thing is, like, you go to a family reunion, and I always hung around the elders, right? The older people getting their stories. Man, to be recording that stuff and making a book, I think would be super. Michelle, before AJ gives a little demonstration of software, any question as he prepares to share his screen? Any
can you go over your first framework again, just in case somebody missed it?
Yes. So I don't have a name to it, but I think that would be a good idea to come up with a name for the person. But essentially, yep, you want to start out at a high level. What are the things that you want to communicate in your book, whether it's self-help, whether it's a novel, whether it's a how-to framework, whether it's a collection of short stories? You want to start with a roadmap, a high-level roadmap. What are the things I want to talk about? Once you understand the things that you want to communicate at a high level, then each point that you want to communicate, you want to create one or multiple stories that are associated with that particular point. And Tony and I did that as well. And some of the points that Tony communicated, we had one story, but in some we had multiple examples, right? So it could be one or more stories. And when you get to the story, the framework for the storytelling at its simplest form is called Star Story Solution. So that's how you very quickly get a story out of your head. Who's the star? What's the story? And the solution is, how did it turn out? Yeah. Once you have that framework in place, that's when you apply the sweep methodology and you start asking yourself those questions to give texture to the story.
And
and that's it.
One of the things too, AJ, that I want to, as I see my son in the chat, and he's a graduate student at Howard. If he was here, he'd tell you that. But proud of him, proud of all my kids, grandkids. But using this software could be, as you demonstrated, could also be used for writing a thesis,
Absolutely.
PhD thesis, or any of those type of things. So I think we're going to have you share your screen and give us a little
Sure.
demo and
Absolutely.
tell us what this is all about. And then we got to make sure before we leave that we have your contact information if someone wants to get a hold of you and work with you and that type of thing. And so we'll make sure we get that in there too before we leave.
Absolutely. All right. So can you guys see my screen now?
I think there we go. We got you.
All right. Okay, so what you are looking at, this is once you have logged into the software, what you see are a series of demo books that I've given when doing the demo for other people. This is what you see first. The next tool or the next thing that you see is the books that are shared with you. So this is when, if Tony's writing a book and he wants to send it to his son to get real-time feedback inside the manuscript, Tony can share it with his son. And when his son logs in, he doesn't have to pay anything. He can log in and he can give Tony feedback on his book. Okay. So now let me get into the book creation process. And here's what I want to do, Tony. If there are any questions that come up while I'm doing this demo, please stop me because I get really excited doing this. So I can go pretty fast.
Well, and one of the things too is if like books like Chicken Soup for the Soul, where you have multiple authors, where you're collaborating on a work, this also could work out very well. And instead of Google Docs or Dropbox or that type of thing, I think this is a good application for that as well.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we had a publishing company sign up last Monday, and that's one of the use cases they have. They have multiple authors that they're working with, all working on an anthology. So each author has their own chapter. So they're all just logged in working on one book.
That's my little non-fictional makeup book down there we practice on.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to go through the create book process, and I'm going to tell you guys what we have built and sort of my vision for the future, so that you guys can see, where we're going with this. Okay. So right now, the nonfiction template is by far the easiest, and it covers the most opportunities for people to use the software. So we built that out first. We also have the poetry because we have a lot of poets. And what I know about poets, because I have friends that are poets, they have journals full of poets just laying around, right? So if they could just grab their old journal full of poems and they could put it into the software and create a book out of it, it's a very easy opportunity for them to go from a person with a bunch of written poems to a published author, okay? So now I'm going to take you through the book publishing process. When you log on and create your account, it will pull your account information and automatically preload it here in the book title. So if you have a title, or if you don't have a title yet, it will just preload it with your name plus nonfiction book. Okay. So I'm going to change this to AJ's nonfiction book. You can create a subtitle. I'll call it How to Write and Publish Your Bestseller. And I am Aj Joyner. All right. Now, let me sort of share with you my thinking about the next screen you're going to see before you see it. If you're using Google Docs, or if you're using Microsoft Word, which are the number 1 and 2 tools that people are using right now to write and publish book, and you had to add a chapter, can anyone tell me what that process looks like? Is it an easy process to go in and format it so that it shows you the chapter and shows you the table of contents and shows you all those things? Or is it a pain? I know the answer to that, but I just wanted to put it out there. It's a pain to go in and add and format it, right? And you typically have to pay someone to come in and do that after your book is written, okay? I wanted to build this software with that in mind from the beginning. I want to make it not only easy to write the book, but I want you to have a book experience once you're in the software. And here's what that means. Why can't you automatically see from the beginning, if you're writing a book, this is called front matter. And one thing that I know, and Tony and I went through this, is when you start as an author, you have stories that you want to tell, but you don't know anything about the dedication page or acknowledgement or foreword, right? So we built, and the copyright, you know about it loosely, but it's something that you're like, okay, well, maybe we get an attorney to do that. I wanted to build a copyright right into the book, okay? So again, that saves you off top, that saves you a couple $100 at least, or at least $100, right? So you go in, you can update it with your information, your email, your ISBN number, if need be, your website. It's already built into the tool, okay? The other part was, what is a dedication? What is the foreword? What is the preface? What goes in the introduction? I wanted to give instructions to the authors so that they don't have to figure out what all this stuff means, and they don't have to wait for the publishing company to tell them. It's already in the software, so it saves you time and having to go and do it or research it and do it yourself, right? So the instructions are on the page for each one of them. Okay. All right. Let's get to the chapters. And this is where it gets really slick, because again, if you're using Microsoft Word and you're writing a book, once you finish your first chapter, you'll more than likely, you'll just name the second chapter. You may make it bold, or you may center it, or do something like that. But in order for it to be formatted for the table of contents, that takes a lot more understanding. I wanted the ability, let's go ahead and just show you guys how this works. So we're going to call this test chapter 1. If I want to add a chapter here, this is how easy it is. You click add, boom, another chapter pops up, test chapter 2. Okay. Now, if I want to navigate between chapters, I simply click on the chapter and it shows me all the content from that particular chapter. Easy peasy. Okay.
And you can move those chapters too, right, AJ? So if I change my mind and I want chapter 1 to be chapter 2, you can just toggle those around.
Absolutely. You simply click on the edit button and you can go drag and drop it. You click done and bam, it's reordered. Okay. So if I come in and add another chapter here, let's go add. So now we will have chapter 3. If I want to say, okay, so I've added that. Now I have it. So if you notice over here, it has chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. I can then just click edit and rearrange the chapters however I see fit. It's that easy. Okay. Another thing, if you're writing a book using Microsoft Word or Google Docs, and you have ideas that you want to maybe add to your chapters later, either A, you open up another document and you're like, oh, I want to use this later. Or B, if you're more advanced, you may click on the notes section in the software, but it's still not easy to navigate from one note section to the next, right? I wanted to add a note section for each chapter. So if there's an article that I want to reference, I can put the link here so that when I log back in, I can remember, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that article. It's in my notes section, okay? That is another innovation that we have just to make the process easier. Now, here's what people absolutely love, okay? I know my stories. I understand the point that I want to make. In Blooksy, I can just click the record button, and let me show you here. My name is AJ, and I've been thinking about writing a nonfiction book. However, using Microsoft Word, the process is so annoying that I decided to subscribe to Blooksy so that I can use it, period. Now, of course, Blooksy, let me stop this. Okay, it doesn't understand Blooksy yet, but it substitutes in Biloxi. Okay. But if you look at the paragraph, it's very accurate, right? Here's what's going to happen eventually, and we're working on funding for this. We're going to integrate artificial intelligence into the transcription so that it will automatically add punctuation. It will automatically add capitalization. It will automatically recognize more proper nouns than it does now. So it's only going to get better. I built this mostly with money out of my pocket, but as we get more people signed up and we get more funding, it's going to get better. Okay. Now,
can I use this to create emails?
You absolutely can.
I have to have my emails proofread, man. I'm a numbers person. I'm not a word person. My wife, I like, babe, can you proofread this?
But here's what you can also do, Tony. You can invite. You just click this add button right here. You can invite anyone that you want simply by adding their email, right? Mm-hmm. And now this is something we borrowed from Google Docs, but we made it better, right? Because if you add someone and they don't have a Gmail account and you're using Google Docs, right, Google's going to pop up this message and say, wait a minute, they don't have a Gmail account. They got to log in and click access. Then you got to click give them permission. And there's this little back and forth that happens, right? Mm-hmm. We eliminate all that. If you want to add someone, they don't need an account here, or they don't need to, you don't need to approve them. You simply add this. They go to Blooksy.com. They log in. They will see under Book Share with me that you've shared your manuscript with them. Okay. So now,
is there levels of permission where they can read or edit, or there's different levels of permission?
Absolutely. So there's commenter, and that person can only leave comments. There's read only. If you just want someone, you want them to read it, but you don't really care about what they have to say. or maybe it's someone in an organization who's not interested. So if you're a publisher and you're not interested in actually going in and editing it, but you just want to sort of track progress, you can have read only. And if you're an editor or someone who wants to leave feedback, the author can give you any level of permission that they want. Okay. So now let me take a step back, because there's a big piece that I missed that Tony talked about earlier. Okay. If you're writing a dissertation, so these are the templates that we're currently working on. We have fiction coming out probably in another 3 weeks, about 3 weeks. We have been working with different universities, and they are chomping at the bit for the opportunity to use this, not only now for the storytelling component, but once we have the dissertation component in place, we'll immediately have universities, because the process that they're using at universities now, for the most part, from my understanding, is they're following the same process that people use now. They have a Microsoft Word document. They're sharing it on Google Drive. They have multiple peers that have to access their dissertation. It's a work in progress. And they're emailing each other like, hey, Tony, I finished my feedback. I left it in there. Go ahead and log in the Dropbox, and now it's your turn. So there's this ping pong back and forth that people are sharing. We eliminate all that, because all the communication happens in the software directly in the manuscript. So when you log in, you can see real time who made changes. And the distinction is each person that you add to your manuscript has their own color avatar, right? And there's an unlimited amount of people that you can add to each manuscript. So here's what we have. We have grants, because again, the grant writing process is exactly the same. There's they have questions that they have to answer. They're bouncing back and forth saying, okay, I've made my update. It's your turn, right? We're looking at this process from a template-based approach. So we have attorneys that are saying, hey, I have all these documents that we use. Can we put some of our templates in here? Absolutely, you can. If you have a document, we can templatize it. We can add it to the software. You can share it with other people. They can make their changes real time using their phone, using their iPad, laptop, desktop, whatever. Lives in the cloud. It's saved every 3 seconds. It's secure. It's backed up. People are using it right now. I have about 230 or so people using it, and they absolutely love it. Okay. Let's see what else. So let me just share the vision, okay? And then I want to show you the artificial intelligence that we're working on to make storytelling even better. As a matter of fact, let me just reverse that. So I'm going to tell you about the
artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And you guys who are interested, just hang with us. We're going to go a little bit past 9, but I want you to hear about this artificial intelligence, because I think it's worthy I'm excited about it. So
yes. So the example that I'm going to show you, I was in Baltimore this week. Tony connected me with some people in Baltimore who were interested. And this is the military, right? So he said, AJ, the way the I'm going to explain this to you and then tell you his question. So the way the artificial intelligence works is Elon Musk has created what's called GPT-3. And that technology has indexed all the content that has ever been written, video, imagery, and audio, and it's all indexed. And we'll call it a database, but it's not really that. But for the sake of this exercise, you can type a question and it will create original content that passes Copyscape for you real time within 15 seconds. And it's original content. In some cases, it'll do 250 words. Some cases, it'll do 750 words. We typed in this question. I think it gave us 9 answers back in 15 seconds in long form article content. And Tony, I'm going to speed through this for a second, but I wanted to show you guys what we have sandboxed. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yeah, we still got you.
Okay, and this is a 2-minute video, but I just want to show you, what we're working on, and we haven't rolled this out yet, but this is coming very quickly. So here's a question. I'm going to type it in, and you're going to watch what happens with artificial intelligence. So just a moment here. 1 second. Can you see it, Tony?
I kind of see your screen. I don't see the actual, you're talking the YouTube. Is that the link that you posted?
Yes.
So Dante, is it easier for you to pull that and show that 2-minute video that he posted in the private chat? Which is easier? Dante got it. So he's going to take your screen down, and then he's gonna play that.
All right.
And so again, I think this is simply amazing software that can really shorten the time frame, and from going from idea to publish. I know that some of the tools that you've shared would have been, man, that would have made it so much. Because it is work writing a book, and then you want to move things around. You change the order of the chapters, and then you got to pull out for the preface and all those type of things. And we had an amazing process, but it was all manual.
Yes.
It was all manual.
Correct.
And this automates it and uses technology. And then the fact that what you're developing with this in terms of the AI, the artificial intelligence, is huge. Dante, you ready to roll? I think you said you got it.
So I wanted to do a really quick demo and test what artificial intelligence would write about itself in with a military question. All right, so the question is, how can artificial intelligence be weaponized to enhance the lethality of a soldier in a battle space? We're going to choose a tone of voice that we're going to use. So I want to do, let's make it bold. Okay, so I'm going to choose bold as a tone of voice. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and click on create copy. And here in less than 20 seconds, it's going to create some results. And let's see how good the copy is, or how good the answer is for this specific question on the military use case. Okay, so let's look at some of the answers. So here's answer number 1. The future of warfare is AI soldiers fighting on the battlefield. There are 3 ways we can use AI to make soldiers better at killing each other: improving perception, improving cognition, and improving reaction time. Perception, the ability to perceive, is enhanced by AI, first by being able to pick up on patterns more easily, and second by being able to make sense of stimuli more efficiently, reducing cognitive load. Pattern recognition is a huge input into cognition and reaction time, as it helps us determine what something means and what actions should be taken depending on its meaning. AI systems can help with pattern recognition by using advanced algorithms. So this is actually pretty good. Okay, I'm just going to show you. It has all these different results. In its essence, artificial intelligence is a powerful tool that can be used to enhance the lethality. It can be used to assist with decision making, weapon selection and deployment, or even as an autonomous targeting system. However, to reach this point, AI must first be integrated with existing systems, which will require innovative solutions and a number of technical challenges. So again, in less than 20 seconds, these are all the results that it has created.
Wow.
Right. So now, how does this help?
Like Google Siri on steroids.
On steroids.
That's
absolutely. And I'll just put a bow on this really quickly. So the gentleman who was with the military who asked that specific question, he had been tasked with writing an essay about artificial intelligence. When he saw this demo, he asked for the link and he asked for all the content, because he wanted to replace what he originally wrote with what the AI gave him.
Wow.
And he said, right, so now we're meeting on Friday with more divisions in the military for them to use this more broadly. Right. So again, how does this help you as an author? If you're writing a how-to book, you can literally type in any question. It will give you original content. It's not to replace what you're going to write, but it's to kickstart more ideas, right? More ways to think about it. And it happens so quickly. This can, speaking your book into existence is fast. But what if you had artificial intelligence to help you tell better stories, or to help kickstart different ideas that you maybe didn't have, right? So that's the purpose, is to make it easier. And just our roadmap, we're going to add one-click publishing eventually.
distribution to other platforms. So Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, we have over 3,000 distribution partners for the ebook copy of your version. It's going to be built into the software. And again, we're talking probably 6 to 9 months down the road, but get on board now because the price is going up for sure. After talking to the military and some of the other, my advisors, you know, a tool like this could easily be $100 a month, right? So again, for right now, people are using it for $39 a month. We've had huge success. People are telling their stories. And I'm just excited that
$39 a month.
Yes. So right now, because we're building it, Tony, because we're building it. And I just want to be clear, the artificial intelligence is still in staging because we're still testing it. And there are some integrations that we have to do with some other databases where we pull data from. But right now you can go in, you can tell your story, you can outline your book, you can very quickly get your stories out, and we can help you publish the other part of it. But again, your storytelling and your book writing process goes from 18 months down to about 3, maybe 5 months.
Robin wants to know, are there investment opportunities? Listen,
there you go. Real money coach.
So
what did we say? That is poise, investor.
So I would definitely be open to having a conversation, Robin, and you have my direct email. So yes, we're not raising venture capital right now, but we have some military investments that are headed our way. So we are looking for growth partners. And again, we're not public, so we don't have stock in any of that yet. But everything is on the table right now because you're looking at the team right now.
there will be an IPO, right? There will be an IPO.
Yes. Yes.
So, and Lisa, is it $39 a month today, right? So
yes.
Right.
That's awesome. Well, AJ, listen, man, I'm just so happy and you know, not just the software, but our relationship and it's continuing to blossom. And as we look at this, and I'm glad that we were able to connect you with some folks, and you went to Baltimore, had a good time, and it was fruitful. So, listen, if someone wants to get in touch with you, tell us how would you prefer that to happen? How can they sign up for the software, the website, all that stuff?
Yes, so you can email me directly. It's blooksy@blooksy.com. That's my direct email for now. Any questions? If you're part of an organization, a university specifically, because we're looking to get into our universities and HBCUs because I'm a product. So we want to make sure we're going, you know, we're helping our people like you guys were talking about earlier. But again, this is for anyone who wants to write and publish a book, okay? If you go to blooksy.com right now, it's just $39 a month. Once we roll the AI out, it's definitely going up to $69 a month because that adds so much value. But then as we add the other templates and things like that, it'll probably land between $100 and $149 a month.
Awesome.
Wow. Get in on the ground floor, right?
The time that you get in now, right? And the time that you save and all that. And so my wife even talked about the book launch that she remembers sitting on the side of the bed saying, I know what I want to say, but how am I going to say it? And that artificial intelligence would help with that.
Mm-hmm.
And
immensely.
You know, because I came in this thing, man. I came in here thought, yeah, I'm gonna knock this book out in 3 months. You know, ain't no problem. Man, come on.
but here's what I will say, Tony. I know you're closing, but you were diligent, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were in the pandemic, things were sort of shifting, and we were both kind of on this, you know, sort of moving in the water. But you knocked it out with your storytelling. Once you understood the Star Story solution and you understood the framework, you were able to get those stories out very quickly. And again, we did use transcription to help get the first version out. Then you were able to go back and shore them up rather quickly. So you did a great job. And again, you took an 18-month process for just writing into a 10-month process from the first conversation we had in April to you launching your book last Tuesday, right? So that's pretty incredible in and of itself. So don't take yourself lightly, man. You did a great job, brother.
April 28th, man. And
right.
You know, and so yesterday was February 28th. So but you know, it was your coaching as well. So, you know, it takes a teamwork to make the dream work. And
Absolutely.
just my wife and her proofreading and the whole thing. And
Sure.
I want to say too, as we close, and many of you who are watching and listening and learned your stories and learned some of the things that you did to make this happen. Now, when you read the book, no one will know it's you, but you, because you said, well,
Right.
that's not my name. That's not where I live, but it sounds familiar, right? So
Sure.
no one will know it's you, but you. But, so I just appreciate everyone. And man, what an awesome display of the software. And that's really what I wanted people to see. And just remind everyone, you can go to YouTube/The Real Money Coach if you have other people that missed this, that could use it. They can go rewatch this as many times as they want. At some point, we'll be replaying some of this on the iHeartRadio show as well. So, and subscribe, right? Subscribe to the Facebook page, subscribe
Absolutely.
to the YouTube. And man, I think that's about it for tonight. AJ, any last words? Michelle, any last words?
Nope. It looks like an awesome app. So congratulations.
Tony, I just want to say thank you again. Thank you, Michelle, for having me on. This has been a lot of fun. And I look forward to helping anyone who wants to write and publish a book. So just hit me up.
All right, sounds good. All right, Dante, I think we're wrapping it up, brother. So everyone, listen, I'll see you on iHeartRadio, 5 p.m. on Friday, WDRB Media, the voice of the community. We'll be right back here next Tuesday with Hope Writes. And thank you all so much. You've been watching The Real Money Coach. Have a great evening. They don't want to go.